everyone, and welcome to the 7th class in the Master's Series from the Casey Samson team. And this one is about negotiating. Now, I know I say every class is really, really important and critical to what we do, but it really is, because every class you watch is critical to getting through either a buyer or a listing and doing it in the best professional way. So today we're going to talk about negotiating. Okay, we're going to talk about the general rules of negotiating, which are going to be critical that you can carry with you throughout the whole transaction and anything you do, family, friends, business, whatever you want to do. Then we're going to talk about the 4 negotiations that you go through when you're in the listing process. Okay, one of them is you're going to have to negotiate a list price. The other one is you're going to have to, go in and negotiate for them to put the home in the proper condition in order to sell it correctly. You're going to have to negotiate hard when it comes time for the contract. And then the final negotiation, the one that sometimes could be a deal killer, is the inspection release. And that's a tough negotiation. I mean, anybody that's looked at a home inspection report and had a seller offended and a buyer scared knows that that's a critical negotiating period. So if we want to get paid, we're going to have to be experts at all 4. So let's start with the general rules, and we'll do that by starting with the keywords. So there's a couple words you need to put in your mind, and these are always true. You really need to know these words and always control them throughout any transaction. The first one is truth. The truth will set you free. No matter what it is, you have to tell people the truth. If you are a professional, tell them the truth and why you believe that's to be true. So a lot of people try and tell sellers what they want to hear or buyers what they want to hear. That will never work. It only works if you tell them the truth. Okay. Now, the next key word in negotiating is leverage. If there are 5 people that want one thing, the one thing is always going to be the best, right? You're always going to get the best deal. So if it's one house and 5 buyers, okay, that house is going to win because you got 5 people competing. But if there's 5 houses and there's 1 buyer, you're going to lose that. You're going to lose it big. So they're going to go ahead and just get the best deal they can on these 5, and the home is going to lose. So you always want to be the 1, not the 5. So that is leverage. We want to make sure we keep our sellers in a leverage position, or our buyer. The next one is a word I use, and my agents will kind of laugh when they hear it, but it's the most effective word I use in all my negotiations. The seller wants A, and I agree. A. Let me give you a perfect example. First of all, the word is concern. Walked into a house, seller wasn't budging under $825, no chance. I said, okay, I think it's worth $825. I think it might be worth $835 or more. But here's my concern. My concern is, and that seller was not going to budge, not going to budge. So I said, well, here's my concern. My concern is that all of the neighbors are under $800,000. So no buyer is putting in, give me everything under $850. In this area, they're putting, give me everything under $800. So if we do go to $825, and that's our list price, we wipe out 80, maybe 90% of our market. So that's my concern. So we did list for $799, in which she said she would never do that. And we got $850,000 for the house with 5 contracts, no home inspection. So, this is the kind of thing that, this is one of our keywords is concern. The other word is whenever somebody's trying to drag you in or out. Perfect example was we had a post-occupancy agreement. The buyer was very gracious to give it to us because it was after the contract period. And the seller wants to negotiate. And at this point, we use the word protocol. Our protocol is if they're giving it to us, then we need to just follow protocol. This is the way it normally works. So anytime somebody's trying to drag you out of the norm, just use the word protocol and say, this is the protocol that we use and that has worked for us. Now, the other word is the most dominating factor in decision making. Okay. And that's one thing that you have to use as a weapon. And that word is fear. Fear is the dominating factor in everybody's mind. It's what keeps people awake at night. Chris Voss talks about it a lot. You need to frame the fear and plant that fear in that buyer or seller, because it's real. It's not fake. I mean, you could lose $150,000 on the house, and that will keep you up at night. And that is a real fear. So we need to frame that fear and use that to make sure that we don't let them go out and hurt themselves. The last word, the key word, is fair. They call it the F word. Chris calls it the F word. You know, as long as we're fair, I think that as long as the seller knows the buyers are fair and the buyers know the sellers are fair and everybody's doing things, I think we can come to a common ground. A seller doesn't want to sell a house for less than it's worth. A buyer doesn't want to pay more than it's worth. We want to negotiate fairly. So that's where that analytical comes in, analysts, bullies. So the key words you want to always just lock into your mind are truth, leverage, concern, protocol, fear, and fair. So how many is that? 6 words. That's 6 words. Write them down and make sure you lock it in. And then as we go through this, you're going to start seeing how we use that on the 4 negotiating tactics that we're going to do, which is contracts, getting the listing, contracts, home inspections, releases, and negotiating our list price. So let's get into the other general rules. One of them is that analysts beat bullies. Now, 90% of realtors are bullies. That's just their negotiating tactic. It's not that they're bullies. It's just that happens to be their negotiating tactic. If I have 5 and I'm the one, I'm going to bully whoever I attack over here. I'm going to bully them. Okay. If you don't like, an agent told me one time, he offered a very low contract, and he said, well, how does it compare to the other contracts you got, knowing there were no other contracts? And yeah, that's just the way it is. They're going to bully you into it. Another one is you'll launch a listing that you know could get 5 contracts, and somebody's going to come in on, you launch it on a Thursday. They're going to come in on a Friday. They're going to tell you have 24 hours to accept their offer or they're leaving. Well, that's a bully tactic. So that agent is going to come in and they're going to basically, try and bully you into it. So understand that analysts always beat bullies. Always. Okay. So I'm going to demonstrate to you how we do that as we work through this list price and whatnot. So going from adversary to partner. Now this needs to be done in the first phase, which is your listing presentation. When you come in, the seller is here and you are here. There is no connect when you walk in that room. Okay. So we're going to talk about how we go from adversary to partner, and we need to partner all the way through this. When we're working on a contract, the other agent and I are partners. We are going to work through it. Or, Billy or Pat or Pam or Morgan or Kelly or Colby, they're all working through this contract. They're partnering with the other agent. We're trying to get this contract through. We're trying to do what's fair for the buyer and seller and get this to settlement. So another thing that we're going to talk about, so we need to go from adversary to partner with everybody that we deal with. We're going to talk about moving the needle, and you'll see that in all of these too. Seller wants to list here. The price is here. We need to move that needle down. We need to work on that. The contract comes in. My price is here. The contract value is here. We're going to have to move that needle up so we get it closer to the list price before we really start negotiating. So we're going to talk about moving the needle even before we negotiate. We're just going to start moving the needle. Okay. And I'll do that at every phase. So the other thing, the last thing, and this is hard. This is really, really hard, that you need to remain calm. Do not get excited. Do not get exasperated. Just remain calm. Okay. So those are basically some of your rules. Analysts beat bullies. Go from adversary to partner. Move that needle. Always be moving that needle, and remain calm and stay positive throughout this whole transaction. It is funny. I'll just clip to one of the ends here. When Morgan called up and said, the home inspection came back and they want $40,000, and our seller isn't going to give us a nickel. He's not in for a nickel. And I immediately thought, and it's true, hey man, we're close. We're really close, and the reason I said we were close, because both people were negotiating. I mean, if you say 40, that's negotiating. You say 0, you're negotiating. Um, Not negotiating is releasing the contract and not giving us an opportunity to talk. If I get an opportunity to negotiate, we're going to win that battle. So as soon as he came back with a number, I knew that we had him, because at least he's negotiating. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the most important one. Let's talk about list price. We're going to walk into a listing presentation. We know we're on a teeter-totter. We know the emotions are very high. We're going to use our negotiating skills. First of all, we're going to be extremely happy. We're going to be in a great mood. We're going to be talking it up with the seller. We're going to be complimenting them when we see their house. We want to release the tension. Tension's right here. Whether it's they're selling because of divorce, a loss of a job, he's moving, they're losing their friends. Let's say he gets a job in Seattle, or not Seattle. Let's say he gets a job somewhere and he's got to move out of town. The kids all have friends in high school. Man, let me tell you something. It's tense. I've had some sellers say, don't go in that bedroom because my daughter's in there and she's not happy about all this. So it can be pretty tense when you walk into a listing presentation. So let's establish, first of all, a good mood. Then let's establish empathy for the seller. What are we doing? Where are we going? What are the things driving you? Do you have any expectations? What are your expectations? Because I can't work with somebody unless I know I can satisfy their expectations. So if you're expecting $1.05 million and your house is worth $950, we're going to try and get you to $950, but I need to know how you arrived at your $1.05 million. So we're gonna flush all this out. What are your thoughts? Tell me, when the last time was you sold a house, and what was good and what was bad, and what are your thoughts? I mean, you may say, hey, the guy put it on the market, or a girl put it on the market. We got 5 contracts, it sold right away. They bid the price up $40,000. Fine, you're receptive to my technique. If they had a very bad realtor and there was no communication, then you're going to be very receptive when I talk about how we communicate with sellers. So we need, as a team, need to show empathy for the seller, get as much information as we possibly can, and that's going to help us somewhere in that negotiation as we go along. Okay? We need to talk about the first 10 days. So I'm preparing the battlefield. We're preparing the battlefield. We know as we walk through this listing presentation, there's some landmines, and we need to diffuse those landmines. The first thing we need to do is, I'm sure you've all have heard a seller say, well, I'm not desperate. I don't have to sell. I mean, I don't care how long it takes. I don't have to sell. And that's okay. And that's a great thing that you don't have that. But your highest price is coming in your first 10 days. And then we prove that to them in a very analytical way. We show them that if it goes beyond 10 days, you're going to be losing $1,000 a day. So we're going to frame this, again, fear. If it goes beyond 10 days, it puts pressure on us. But if it goes beyond 10 days, we know we're losing $1,000 a day. So that is, we're introducing the fear. Okay. Now, we're also going to tell them, and this is when they talk about frame the traps or frame the loss. We frame the loss at $1,000 a day. Now we're going to tell them what traps sometimes force sellers into that. We want to avoid these traps. The first one is that you've got hungry realtors that are going to tell you a big number because they want your listing. Now, maybe not for the same reason as we want your listing, but some people want to advertise it, promote it, have their sign up. Those are all good for realtors. A lot of people, that's called warehousing listings or buying listings, you might hear the term. But these are from hungry agents that just want to load up listings. If you put in 10, maybe 2 will sell. Not what we do. If I put in 10, we're going to sell 10. So, but you need to be aware that they are out there. They are very big names. Most of the people you see in the newspaper are buying listings so they have nice pictures to put in the newspaper. But there's an agent out there that has $75 million worth of unsold real estate, and you need to be aware of agents like that, okay? Because they're going to, again, if If it goes beyond 10 days, you can lose $1,000 a day. Her average listing is 220 days. So there's a lot of money getting lost over there. Okay. We also want to talk about the trap that the artificial intelligence is unreliable. Now, they've already seen Zillow. They've seen Redfin. When they say I want $1,050,000, it's because those sites say I'm worth $1,088,000. So we need to diffuse that by showing them signs before. I don't even want to talk to you about it. Before you even talk about Zillow said, here's what Zillow said it was worth. Here's what I said it was worth. This is what it sold for. Here's what Zillow said it was worth. Here's what I said it was worth. Here's what it sold for. So we need to discredit the unreliable artificial intelligence before it drives them to a horrible end. Okay. So, as we talk about negotiating, now the analyst kicks in. And if you go back to our pricing model, you'll see how we analyze the listing, how we bring it down to a point where neither you, your wife, or your husband, your kids, or your accountant, or whoever's there can deny that the number that I've arrived at is the number. So again, an agent may come in and try and say this, well, here's my point. Prove it. Show me a track record and prove that price. So there comes a time in a negotiation where the analyst is going to win, and the analyst is going to win big. So we demonstrate, okay, through analytics why it is what it is. Okay. So now we're kind of emphasizing at this point, we're going over how we arrived at our number in a very easy way for them to understand. And then we start talking about leverage. Okay. One of our key words, one of our 6 key words, leverage. Do you want to be the 5 or do you want to be the 1? If you price it at one number, well, you're going to have 10 competitors and you ain't going to win that. All right. But if we can get under a threshold, a major threshold, like a $50,000 threshold or a $100,000 threshold or $1 million, and that just means this: instead of 810, go to 799. We're going to, it's shown over and over again that's a 4-time bigger market under that $100,000 mark, under that $50,000 mark. Now it's 5 times as big a market if you go from $1,050,000 to $999. When you go under $1 million, it's 5 times the market. So we want to make sure that we're fair about this, that, if you go over here, you're going to lose your market. Well, that's fair. We could lose money. We don't want to lose money. So we want to keep it down in this range where we're negotiating in good faith. Okay. And again, what's the number one word that I use when I'm doing a final pricing? There's only one: concern. I'm concerned. If you go to 825, I'm concerned that you're not going to have any market there. I mean, there's just nobody looking for that. In fact, not only is your neighborhood in the $700,000 to $800,000 price range and nobody's going over, your neighbors next door, the next neighborhood over, is only in the 600s. So really, there's nobody in this whole area looking for 800,000. So that's a concern of mine, and I think we need to take that into account, and that could lead to us losing $1,000 a day. So we're going to try and get this number as high as we can. Now, the other part about that is truth. The truth will set you free. Not everybody's going to go to 950. They're going to want to do $1,050,000, and you just got to walk away. You've done all you can. You've negotiated the best. That 1 out of 10 is not going to do it. The best listing you're ever going to take is the one you didn't take. I'm just telling you. That one listing that will drive you crazy, it'll keep you up at night, that'll just sap all of your time, energy, and money. Instead of taking that listing and bang yourself, your head against a wall, blow it off and go get another. Use all that time, energy, and money to get another better listing. Because let me tell you, when you have a bad listing, you have a bad track record. So it's going to hurt you more than time, energy, and money. It's going to hurt your track record. So, we want people to have confidence that our track record, I know I'm telling you this, but let me show you the track record that validates it. I mean, if there's 33 houses here and they're all selling in 8 days, you have to be able to, I tell them, the only reason I get on a roller coaster, can you imagine going down on a bunch of cars at 75 miles an hour and taking a 90-degree turn? Can you imagine doing that? What kind of idiot would do that? Well, if 1,000 people have used that roller coaster before I was on and everybody came back safe, then I'm going to assume that that roller coaster is safe and it's going to get me back. Okay, so I'll do it. So I can tell you that that is accurate. I mean, why do people do what they do? Because people have done it before them. They've come back and safe and won and all this other stuff. So we're really getting to that point now where we're finalizing our price. We're setting our expectations, okay? And the final thing that we're going to do is the last class, I think it was class 6, was the setting of the predictive analysis. We're not going to know this. We're not going to guess this is the right number. We're going to know it's the right number. We may test during the coming soon period. We may test this in social media. We may test this on the MLS. And based on how many people like it, love it, share it, or comment on it, that's going to tell us whether I'm on the right number or not. And at this point, I tell them, would you ever walk out into a busy street without looking to your left or looking to your right? And the answer is, of course you wouldn't. You'd look to your left and look to your right and make sure you can, not get murdered or hit by a bus. Well, that's not the way people do it in real estate. People just walk right in the middle of the street, and a lot of them get hit by a bus. So we can either drive the bus or get hit by the bus. I'd rather drive the bus. So this predictive analysis is nothing more than looking to the left and checking the buyer pool and social media, looking to the right, checking the buyer pool and reception from the real estate community. And then once we have that, we can decide, are we at the right number or are we not at the right number? And I've got a whole class on predictive analysis, and I'll tell you that works. So that's the way we just negotiated getting the listing, setting the list price, getting the expectation set the way we want it, doing the predictive analysis so that we walk out the door, we know, we don't think we know. And again, I hate to say it, and I know this sounds terrible. This sounds terrible. But when I was in the Marines and people would say, good luck, I did a thing called the silent drill team, where it's Marine Barracks 8th and I, you throw the rifles all around at each other and people go, good luck. Well, each one of us would say to each other every time, luck's got nothing to do with this. What's about to happen, luck's got nothing to do with it. It's hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of practice. We do it so much we can't do it wrong. So when I go out to a football game and I coach football with, Billy and some people and Kevin, and my wife says, well, good luck, under my breath. I try not to say it out loud, but luck's got nothing to do with what's about to happen, because we prepared and we're ready. Same with a listing appointment for you. People shouldn't say good luck. What we've done so much work to prepare for this time that we can't do it wrong. We prepared. We're very well prepared. Again, one of our agents, Missy Whittington, is a softball coach, and you can say good luck, but she took a team that doesn't win at all, and they won a state championship or two, and luck had nothing to do with that. Had nothing to do with that. That is hard work, dedication, knowing what you're supposed to be doing, and executing a plan. It's having a plan and executing the plan. That's what it is. Okay, so let's talk about the next one. The next negotiation we have is on the home visit, and I'm going to give Morgan a lot of credit for this, because really that's a touchy subject. You're going to walk in and you're going to tell them your house is old, it's dated, and da-da-da-da-da. And it's always a tough part for everybody to do, and sellers don't want to do anything. I mean, I have a seller that told me, I'm not spending a nickel. You either come in and sell it, I'm not spending a nickel. Yeah, well, they're painting the outside of his house, they're painting all the things in his house. So, we've got to negotiate with him, and I'm not going to spend a nickel, and this is what you need. We need to get him to what you need to do, because if you're going to sell a house, it's got to be priced right. It's got to be in good transitional state. So Morgan came in and framed what is traditional and what is transitional. And she joined some groups and some clubs, and before you know it, she's got this information that frames what is a traditional house. these are the categories. Well, what is it? Is it heavy drapes? Is it big, dark furniture? Is it a lot of knickknacks and clutter? Are things full? Mostly, it's big wall hangings. It's Oriental rugs. It's it's the lighting that you see, the plumbing fixtures, the hardware is gold. So when you walk into a house, we're trying to get a house to go from 1985 to 2020 because everybody's seeing it online. We're trying to get them to come into your house. So great example of this. Billy just had one, and we walked into a house and it was clearly in its condition. Hadn't had any updates. Not really. It just didn't get a lot of updates. The kitchen was okay. The bathroom was okay, but the rest of it was just old. So instead of walking in and saying your house is old, you just say most people live in a traditional format, and this is clearly traditional format. This is traditional. The big drapes, the screens, the shears on the windows, that's traditional. Transitional is what the buyers want. And when they're scanning the internet, they're looking for transitional homes, which is nothing more than traditional on its way to modern. So all we got to do is take out the traditional stuff, throw in some modern pieces, and what have you got? Transitional. Well, we've proven that the cosmetic improvements that we do to houses will, again, you're going to frame this, the fear, it's not going to sell unless we do, okay? We're going to frame, in this case, the profit. If you invest $1, we're going to get $6 back, and the house is going to sell quicker. And we know that we're going to lose $1,000 a day if we don't get this thing done. So let's not that we're scaring them into it, but we're defining what the loss is, okay? So the first thing is we're going to take it from traditional to transitional. Don't worry about hurting anybody's feelings. All you have to do is look at the knob and say, these are dated. This is going to date your house, and have a quick, easy solution that don't worry about it. We have a person for that. It usually takes about, $40, $50 a door, and we're going to swap those out, swap these in, and before you know it, your house is going to look great. Okay. So, and this whole negotiating period that we're going around with them, they don't want to do anything. Now, what are the three things we only have limited supply of? I've said this over and over again: time, energy, and money. Maybe it's the money that's holding them back. Maybe they don't have $5,000 sitting around they can update their house. Fine. Have a fund that you can get $5,000. If I need to put in $5,000, you can pay me at settlement. But we need to get this house done and sold, okay? And, rarely do I need to do that. But it's there. There are times when we've, during that empathy period where we're trying to understand the seller, that we realize that you need some real help. I mean, I don't mean you need a little bit of help. You need a big help. So we would call in Jimmy and his crew, and they would redo the house, as best we can. If they're in or out, we prefer them out, but if they're in, they're in. But, sometimes that we have to do that. But so once we've educated them on how easy it is to go, and again, time, energy, and money, they think, oh my God, this is going to take forever. No, it won't. Let's talk electrical stuff. If we go in and say, we were in a $1.6 million house, and I was looking at Kelly, and she was kind of had a weird look on her face, and we'd identified, the easy things, it's a terrible color on the front of the house, and we needed to fix that. And the shutters, nice plantation shutters, were painted brown, and it gave you that brown wood effect. Well, wood is out and white is in. So we'd already talked about, those things that we would do. And I'm like, what's the matter? And she said, the lights are awful. And I didn't even notice it. So, I look up at the lighting, and sure enough, it's like a Tiffany kind of looking fixture. And, well, I don't have the energy. It's like, don't worry about it. Here's what we're going to do. Kelly's going to pick a fixture. She's going to put it in a shopping cart for you. She's going to send you a link to the shopping cart. You're going to say yes. You're going to give me your credit card. It's going to deliver to your house, and I'm going to have an electrician put that up. So it's not like you have to shop, buy, drag it home, find an electrician, have him screw it up or not. So we want to frame it so it's very nice and easy and takes you as little time, energy, and money. And in fact, if it only costs $250 to do that, and then you can have it delivered to your house and framed, the shoppers that we have are very good. Kelly and Morgan and Colby and Billy and Pat and Pam. I mean, they're out there shopping at Home Goods and things like that. So, we can make it easy on them. So as we're negotiating this with them, we also want to make sure that they know that it doesn't cost a lot to take a lot of time, energy, or money. Okay. We can handleize that. All right. So also when I go in, I'm recommending, I'm not insisting. But here's my concern, right? Just keep throwing back that key word. I'm not insisting, but here's my concern. If we leave it like it is, we're not going to get the visitor traffic that we need in order to sell this thing. So let's make it easy. Let's make it profitable. This is traditional. These are the buyers. If you're traditional, then you're going to have very little buyers. And then there's going to be 5 traditional houses for every 1 buyer. So we don't want this. We want this. Okay. So that's how we negotiate that the home is prepared correctly. And so now we've got it priced right. We got it prepared right. Now let's talk about when the contracts come in, because now a lot of money's at stake. Now we're really talking money at stake. Now, if we are the one, do we have much to worry about? Not really, but there's a protocol. There's a protocol that we follow when this happens. And the reason why we call that a protocol is because we've tested, change, revert, check. Okay, this is our protocol. This is what we're going with. Time tested, Danny, Bernie, Donnie, me, all the people on our team. We've done probably 100 a year. So let's call it, a lot. Okay, let's call it a lot. So this is the protocol that we're going to have when we have a multiple contracts. Okay. Now, when we negotiate a contract and we are in the driver's seat, all right, we want to make sure that we're going to get that bully contract coming in and trying to get it to take a contract in 24 hours. Okay. Have I taken them? Sure. But it better be so good. It better be so home inspection free. Okay. That we're willing to take it. 50,000 over list price, no home inspection. Yeah, we can handle that. Sure. Heck. Because I've done a predictive analysis, I know there's only 3 really people that love it. And if we get 1 contract, we're going to be lucky. So we don't have a big buyer pool. I already know that. So I would be more willing to negotiate with that 1 contract. If I know that the predictive analysis says I don't have a lot of takers here, I just don't have a big buyer pool. All right. So we want to maintain our leverage. Okay. Let's just say that you take that 1 contract and people said, oh, I had a contract before you put it on the market. Wrong. You got to have 5 buyers, 5 of them ready to go. And here's why. Because once you take 1 contract and you only have 1 buyer, 1 contract, you've just released all your leverage. You have no more leverage. You really don't. Okay. So when they do a home inspection, if they come back, now you've gone active, under contract. If you have to go active again, all those buyers are gone. Right. So if you go active again, now you see they've got you they've just got you. They have the leverage. You have to do what they say for the home inspection. You can threaten to go back online, but we all know that there's damage that's done when somebody says, hey, did you guys fail your home inspection? Why are you back online? Did you fail? So we don't want that. So what we want to do is we're negotiating this is to say, first, we want the highest and best offers. You know why? Because they return the highest and best offers. The other way of doing it is having escalation clause. If you're working for the seller, you do not want an escalation clause. You want everybody to offer your highest and best offers. Quick example. We put on a 750, we're expecting 775. Contracts start coming in, it's 755. One of them is 760, okay? And then a person comes in and says, I'll give you 760 plus $2,000 over the next highest offer. And I return back and they said, yeah, 2,000 over the next highest offer. So I returned to them and I said, no escalation clause. And they said, because that contract would have returned us $762,000. So I said, no escalation, just highest and best offer, Sunday by 5 o'clock. Within 30 minutes, he called me back. I said, I'll tell you what, $790, all cash, no contingencies, no inspection. Now, instead of getting $70.62 with an inspection, I got $790 without an inspection. So go ahead and tell the sellers about that one when we talk about why we want to go under certain thresholds and why we want to have leverage through the whole transaction. So even if you have 5 people interested or you've got a really popular house, you could lose leverage if you take one buyer, one contract too early. So when we have 5 people submitting their contracts, we are still engaging in all 5 people. We still want them all involved. We want them to be ready that should something happen to one, you guys are still standing there waiting for us. That way I still have 5 people. So on one home inspection came back and it had 115 items. And I said, well, how many items do you want us to fix? And they said 115 items. I have 5 contracts. I'm going to fix 3. So we'll fix 3 items because there's safety issues. And, or I'm taking contract number 2. I've already sent this to him to say, hey, are you cool with this? If I just fix these 3 items? And they said, yes. So immediately he looks at me and goes, okay, so you're going to fix those 3 items, right? Yes. Okay, good. So we just eliminated 112 items because we used leverage, we used fear, and we used fair. Okay. So I had 5 to 1. He knew there was backups. I'm just trying to be fair that if the other person's not going to do it, I can't exactly ask my seller to do the 112, right? So that's how you use that leverage through the whole transaction. You use highest and best offers. You do not use escalation clauses at all. So if you are in that lucky position where your house is well priced and the house has been put in the great condition, then we want to make sure that we use that through this contract presentation. Okay. So when we talk about, the proving value, let's talk about one that maybe doesn't go through in the first weekend and we don't have 5 contracts. And today we only have 1 contract or 2 contracts. We've got a COVID going on. We got riots going on. We got Seattle isn't even Seattle has been taken over. So yeah, we don't have as many buyers as we used to have. So let's talk about proving value. Let me give you one example. This is talking about moving the needle, okay? We want to keep moving that needle, all right? So we're at 1.5 million, and a house that Terry Belt had 3 streets over was built by the same builder, same model, same everything, brand new. They were on the market for 320 days. They listed too high. So here they are, 1.425 million. We're at 1.5, same house. So the buyer came into us, said, we've been watching this house and the other one sold. So we want to offer you 1.425 for this house. I said, well, we're worth 1.499. And I sent him the summary and the comps that proved that we are worth 1.499. So all I'm trying to do, and my seller probably would have been happy at 1.45, but I don't want the negotiation moving down here. I want the negotiation moving up here. So by sending him the proof, the analytics of why it is what it is, he bumped his offer to 1.45. Okay, now the meet in the middle price is somewhere around 1.475. So we've moved that needle up. Well, not good enough yet. So I sent it back to him one more time. I think these people really want this house, but it's worth 1.499. So I think we did end up at 1.485. We never countered. The seller was thrilled, 35,000 more than they hoped they could get. And all we did in negotiating was be analytical and be fair. And it's like, I don't want the seller to take a hit because that other realtor couldn't figure out how to sell a house in 325 days. Not my problem. It's his problem. Okay. So we're going to be fair. We're going to be analytical. we're going to move the needle, and we're going to have that needle right up here where we want. So sometimes we don't have the leverage, and when we don't have the leverage, then we're going to move that needle. We're going to move it up as high as we can. We're going to prove our value. We're going to go analytical on them over, hey, you don't have any contracts. You've been on for 25 days. Take our price or we're walking away, then walk away. But here's what it's worth. I mean, I'm just trying to do what's fair. So when you do have leverage, keep everybody involved. Keep everybody ready. Everybody ready. And it sounds something like this. Hey, look, you didn't get the contract. Sorry about that, but the price was nuts. And you didn't want to go for that price anyways. It's just, that's a high price. So hang out. Let's get through the home inspection. A lot of these home inspections kick out if they know they paid too much for a house. Just hang out there for a minute. I'll keep you informed every step of the way. Love your clients, love the terms. Let's hang around. Let's just check this out. Okay. And you get that email. Have they had a home inspection yet? How's it going? 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 Then the guy walks in with 115 items and he's sitting here going, hey, how's it going? How's it going? How's it going? How's it going? So keep everybody involved. Keep that leverage. Go for the highest and best offers. And then really when you get to it, you ask somebody, well, how did you arrive at that number while you're negotiating? I mean, I have facts on my side and you have what? Well, that house sold for 1.425. Well, that's because the agent, priced it at 1.699 and overpriced it. And by the time we got to a lower price, and I can prove to you that houses lose $1,000 a day. So yeah, he lost that for his client, but I'm not going to lose that for my client because I've only been on for 20 days. And so when you ask him how he arrived at that price, now again, we start talking about going from an adversary to a partner, right? So now he wants his clients to buy this house and his client saw that other house sell for 1.425. Help him or her negotiate the contract. Give him the ammunition he needs. Well, this is what it's worth. This is how I arrived at it. Here's the comps, and they up their price. I'm sorry. Let me show you this one more time. Show it to him again. It was a great house. I'm not worried about it not selling. We're gonna get a number. I'm not worried. It's a good house. I just want what's fair for the seller. That's all I want to do. And I'm not going to make them take a hit because the other realtor overpriced the house. And that's a good story to take back to his person. So he and the agent and I are a team, and again, Billy and Kelly and Morgan and Colby and Pat and Pam, I mean, they are negotiating these contracts. Did I say Billy? Yeah, they're negotiating these contracts, but this is the protocol that they use. So we have a protocol, and I'm just going over what our protocol is on negotiating these contracts through. And then the last thing you want to do is get your last pint of blood. Okay. So let's talk about the last pint of blood. We're 1.5 and I could prove it. He gets up to 1.485. Okay. They're not going any higher. And you get to a point where the buyer is not going one nickel more. And then you get your last pint of blood. Okay. See, I tell you what, we're going to take this number, but I won't hear a peep at the home inspection. I mean, I don't want to hear a peep. I want you to understand that this is worth 1.5 million. You are getting it for 1.485. That's fine. And the seller is okay with that, but we're not going to entertain a home inspection list if you're getting a $15,000 discount. Again, frame the loss. I've framed the seller's loss. The sellers have lost $15,000 because these guys can't sell a house and they hurt the market value. But I'm telling you, this house is worth it. And my sellers are taking a $15,000 hit. So I want to make sure everybody knows what the loss is, and then we frame the loss before we start getting into a home inspection. I mean, we had one where it was a $1.25 million house. We sold it for $1.2 million because it just needed some work. I mean, it needed work. And they came back in, and I'll talk about this, in the next session. But when we talk about that last pint of blood, the last pint of blood is setting the stage for the next negotiation. And the next negotiation is the home inspection. Okay. So now we're going to get into, we've got our general rules. We've negotiated a good list price. We've negotiated to get them to prepare their home correctly. We've now got contracts, both multiple contracts we've negotiated, and we've moved the needle on the one that came in low. We do this through fair negotiation. We're trying to be fair. We are into being very analytical the way we do this, okay? So we're following all of our rules, and now we get into the home inspection, okay? If we prepared ourselves correctly in multiple contracts, that means I've kept everybody in the game. Look, if I ever use the term I, it's a mistake. It's a we. It's a Michelle. It's a Julie. It's a Billy. It's a Pat. It's all our agents, involved. This is a we thing. And when I say you partner with our team, you don't just partner with me, you partner with that team. And all these protocols and all these rules come into play. And I'll show you a couple of examples of that here in a second, but let's go to the inspection release. We want to use paid professionals. They're going to come back and they're going to find some things. But if there's a big item, we had somebody come back, that $40,000, they came back with $40,000 home inspection. And so we analyzed everything, $25,000 for windows. Okay, well, that's a big number. Are you sure there's $25,000 worth of windows that are broken out there? So we paid our window guy to come out and look at it. And sure enough, it's about $3,500. So 25, 3,500. So we just moved the needle $21,000 with one guy. Now, I'm not going to say we're going to pay you. I'm not going to say, come on out because you might get some business out of this. You're not going to get any business out of this, trust me. But we're going to pay you 150 or 200 bucks to do this inspection, give us a report and tell us what we need. Maybe they'll do it. I doubt it. Most times people take the money, okay? So we've moved, the seller's not going to pay anything, but now I've had a window guy come out and he's dropped the estimate $21,500. So in good faith, a seller can't exactly say, I'm not paying a nickel. Well, we just got him down $21,500. That's what we did in good faith. So you want to do this for HVAC people. You want to have a good, maybe plumber or a roofer so they can inspect these things. And each person is going to get paid. And if the seller balks at it, we give them that example that, we paid $150 to have an inspection, but it literally moved the needle $21,000. It takes $10,000 of an HVAC unit and drives it down to maybe a $300 credit. So, that is what we're going to do. All right. And so we will analyze everything. We'll come down to the big numbers. We will throw out the wear and tear items. Again, let me give you the example I just had with the one. We sold a house that was worth 1.25 million. I can prove that, but it sold for 1.2. It was a little dated and it was, it needed some work. So that's okay, but 1.2 is a good thing. Frame it before we go. 1.2 million, it's worth 1.5. So we're going to accept this, but I don't want to hear anything from you at home inspection. Okay. So you could say that, but they're doing a home inspection and their buyer's expecting them to write all this up and send it to us. That's okay. I understand that. They sent back $50,000 worth of home inspection items. I already told you got $50,000 discount and you just brought me $50,000 worth of stuff that needed to be done to this house. That makes it worth 1.25. If I did it, I'd probably sell it for 1.3. So we're not going to pay you twice. And again, fair is fair. You got $50,000 discount and you need to frame that discount and then tell them we're not going to pay it twice. That's just not fair. I mean, I can't ask the seller to pay it twice. So we ended up, again, last pint of blood. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll throw in some lawn furniture out back that the sellers weren't going to take anyways. But we'll throw in the lawn furniture out back and it's got a grill out there and you can have all that. That's fine. They're moving back to DC. They're going to grill anything more. They're going to eat at restaurants. So we had that in our pocket that we could negotiate out with the home inspection items with some things around the house. Now, let me be clear on this. Let me be extremely clear on this. You need to tell your sellers, don't talk to buyers. don't talk to buyer's agents. Never talk to them. And here's why. The home inspection was going on, the seller left and the seller came back. And the seller started to get a good rapport to the homeowner, or the home buyer. Well, I knew I had an entire basement full of furniture out there that I was going to use to settle out this home inspection, right? So the home inspection comes back, it's $12,000 worth of stuff. I said, tell you what, I'm going to give you all the home, I'm going to give you the whole entire basement that's got a pool table, that's got all these beautiful furniture, and it's got a TV room, it's got everything. I said, all right, we already got that. What do you mean you already got that? Oh, yeah. Seller was there, we talked to him, he didn't want any of that stuff, so he's already given that to us. So that conversation cost that seller $12,500. I could have got that out of there for the home, for those items. So just make sure that when we're talking to our sellers, we never let them talk about it, okay? We never let them talk to the buyers or sellers, because there is what's called a $500 minute. And the reason why I don't allow clients to meet my seller to meet the buyer is there's going to be a $500 minute. Now, his was a $12,000 minute, but normally it's a $500 minute. And that is where somebody asks something or says something like, hey, this wasn't working. The next person that opens his mouth is going to cost them $500. Now we usually did that at settlement. We'd say, sellers, sit there, buyers are sitting across the table, don't say a word. If something comes up, don't say a word. Because the next person that opens their mouth is going to lose $500. So just quiet. So we went to settlement. People across from us, turns out that their agent told me the exact same thing. So a problem came up at settlement. We leaned back. The buyers leaned back. And nobody said a word for 10 minutes. Not one word. And so we looked at them and they looked at us, and it was blank face all the way around. Finally, the settlement attorney opened their mouth and said, oh, I'll take it out of my fee. And we both kind of smiled, knowing he opened his mouth first. He lost $500. It's a $500 minute. It's quiet. Don't say anything. Don't talk to anybody. Okay. So as we're negotiating, that's where the money is really on the line. I mean, the guy lost $40,000. I had a woman one time, we walked in with a contract. We used to have briefcases and paper contracts. And I had a contract in there, and I was getting ready to buy their house. And as we walked in, the lady said, oh, I hope these people want this house, because my husband's down in South Carolina. I miss him so much. I mean, we already have a house down there. I just need to get out of this house. And I went back to the car with my clients, because this is how we did it. I went back, I opened up my briefcase. That sounds stupid. We pulled out the contract, we scratched out the price, and we dropped it $25,000. We presented the contract, they accepted it. So I already had a signed contract, but her comment to me cost her $25,000. So that's a little bit more than a $500 minute. So we just want to make sure that we don't talk about it, okay? We want to, when we're negotiating this home inspection, identify what is wear and tear items, what is safety issues, and the inspectors are going to come back by saying, this is at or past its useful life, so you need to buy a new one. No, we've already had that inspected. Here's a $150 inspection that says it's fine. So it either inspect before they do the home inspection or after they do the home inspection. But I would make sure that if you have things that are at or past their useful life, they get inspected. So safety issues, fine. Electrical, I've never had a seller worry about an electrical issue. If we got 110 amps, should be 220 amp or whatever amp it's supposed to be, or you got junction boxes, or they say, hey, this is a safety hazard, we're going to fix it. We're just going to fix it. But we're not going to fix the little BS stuff. Okay? So, and again, when we're talking about inspections, we kind of analyze everything when we're doing it. So that is the way we negotiate all the way through this transaction, and then we get this thing on the settlement. So you know, come back to this from time to time. Make sure that you're doing it every day, every single day. I will have at least 2 or 3 negotiations like this where there's a lot of money at stake. Either it's our commissions, or it's our time and energy on a listing it's not going to sell, or it's a home inspection that we don't want to walk away from us, or it's contracts that are coming in. But again, on the contracts, I can show you where we can make $20,000 or $30,000 using the negotiation techniques, or we can reduce, we can get higher bids, okay, by using the analytics, by being fair. So again, keywords, the truth will set you free. Always be in the leverage position. Make sure you use the word concern when you need to move the needle and get that where it needs to be. My concern is, and that concern better be legitimate. You can't fake concern. If it really is a concern, let them know what your concern is. This is our protocol. A protocol is the way things are supposed to go. And based on all of our historical data and everything that we've done, we want to make sure that our protocol is carried out. We want to make sure that we frame the loss. Fear is the determining factor in everybody's decision-making process. And we want to make sure that we're fair, that all we're doing is we're negotiating in good faith, okay? Good faith and fairness keeps the emotions out, turns adversaries into partners, and gets the transaction you need. So this is class 7, negotiating on the Casey Samson series. And I will tell you that when I go back to the one most impactful class that I take from Chris Voss, I've probably seen it 12 or 15 times. And every time I do, I get something out of it. So go out and do your business, come back and reference these classes from time to time. It wouldn't hurt you to watch a class prior to going into a contract presentation or a listing presentation. So, or if you're prospecting, Julie was going on vacation this week. I'll bet we had 6 marketing campaigns launched this week. So Julie can go on vacation, have a good time, and we'll take care of whatever comes in from those things. So constantly be going back and looking through. We've got 7 classes. The next class is on communication, okay? Now, let me tell you how valuable communication is. Got a call from an agent. She wanted to partner. So we're going to partner with her on a listing. Her listing is at $750,000, and we're going to get on the phone with a seller. Okay. So communications, our protocol is that seller that's going to be on the phone needs to know everything they need to know about us and me and our program and our team and our track record and the articles that are in the paper and all that other stuff. They need to know what our strategy is before we get on the phone. But we broke that protocol. The other day, we broke that protocol. They didn't have the proper communications prior to me getting on that phone call. And they were going to treat us like any other agent, like the 4 that came before him. And he literally talked for 15, 20 minutes before we could put an end to that. We needed to put an end to it. So the reason why he talked for 15 or 20 minutes was because he had not been properly educated, communicated with prior to that phone call, okay? So if you're going to go in before you get to that house, before you talk to that seller, before you do that Zoom conversation, they need to have communicated to you your value proposition. Why are you so good? Why are you so good? Why do I need to listen to you? Why is what you're saying worth my time? This is their home. It's a big, this guy had invested so much money in this house. It's a big deal for him, okay? And again, he sees realtors as the adversary, not partners, adversary. So that was a different negotiating technique I had to use on him, but we did go from $750 to $699, blasted out all new marketing. And I'm hoping this weekend we get a few contracts on that and it's sold. So, but the communication class is what we're going to do next. That is how you prepare sellers. That's how you communicate contracts. That's how you communicate with everybody that you're going to do. This is how you communicate with the team. If you have a deal, how are you going to communicate and how are you going to work with the Casey Samson team if we partner, or with another agent if they partner, or like people like Madonna and people like that have a team, and the Beans, they have a team, and Scott Koval, they've got a great team, okay? So how do we communicate back and forth, and whose job is what, and how do we make sure we don't step on each other's nose? So that's next week's class. That's class 8. Now will be our final class, and I'm Casey Samson and out. So thank you for listening in. I appreciate it. We will See you next Thursday at 2:00. Revert back to this anytime you think you need a little shot in the arm when it comes to negotiating. Thanks for saying.